From Chicago, this is Around Comics, the comic culture podcast, where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics and comics culture. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher Niesman, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Salazar.
What's up, man?
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
Good. I'm getting a frosty beverage.
Lovely.
Here.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, I got to show the people the new Around Comics. I know you got the old school.
Oh yes.
Around. You can't get that one anymore. But
old school.
I got the new school. But actually, I do. You know, that brings up something. If you don't mind, let me jump in just real quick. We've been promoting the shop, aroundcomics.com/shop. You can buy official Around Comics merchandise there, including mugs, hats, t-shirts, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I made a change in the vendor this week because I wasn't really happy with who was promoting or the printing on some of the stuff, the shirts. I got a couple of shirts in and I really didn't like it. So I changed things over to spreadshirt.com. So we now have a spreadshirt.com site. You can still go to aroundcomics.com /shop and buy everything there. But just so people know, if you've already ordered something and I haven't contacted you from the original site, then that stuff will be on its way. It is delayed, but that was one of the other reasons. Like they seem to be really, really delayed.
Okay.
So I switched over to spreadshirt.com. But you can go to aroundcomics.com and buy stuff there. And there's a new design that's on there now. It's like a retro kind of DC Comics, EC Comics logo design that I did. So you can buy that. That's on there now. And there's all sorts of cool stuff. So just thought I'd throw that out there before we got too deep into things.
Nice. Only the best here at Around Comics.
That's right.
How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. It was a beautiful weekend, I'll tell you that much. The weather could not have been nicer by us. How about you?
It is beautiful here in southeast Wisconsin. It's much biking around, and it's the apocalypse is much easier to deal with whenever it's mid 60s and sunny outside.
Right.
So yeah, all in all good. Unfortunately, had some bad news, which you were the bearer of bad news. I was in a home project cocoon at the end of the week, apparently, and you were the one that let me know that Denny O'Neil had passed. And
yeah, I was surprised that you were not aware, but yeah, you must have been in a bubble there a little bit.
You sent me a text. It's like, so what are we gonna do talking about Denny O'Neil this weekend? And I was like, oh no, what happened?
Yeah,
like
unfortunately,
you have a new comic coming out. So I was hoping, fingers crossed, but no. Denny O'Neil passed away at age 81 on this past Thursday, and I think we're going to spend a fair amount of time tonight talking about the life and work of Denny O'Neil. I know Tom is going to join us when he has his children caged up in the basement.
When he puts his kids down,
put those kids out of their misery.
I don't have to worry about that anymore. My kids are like self-sufficient at this point.
You don't tuck your kids in at the end of the night?
My kids go to bed after I do, so they tuck me in. And then they are
all right, Dad. Time to go to bed.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Do you need your warm milk and cookie?
I do.
So, I'm sure that everyone's been talking about the Denny O'Neil's career, and it's obviously well documented. He was one of the all-time greats in the world of comics, as not just a writer but an editor. He was an ambassador for comics. Interesting, a little bit different than Roy Thomas, where Roy Thomas was a kind of like lifelong fan that came up as an editor and writer, and Roy Thomas had a love affair for old comics. That wasn't really Denny O'Neil's thing. He was more of a journalist, and I think that he brought his real world writing style into comics, and I think that's whenever you look at Denny O'Neil comics from the 70s and 80s, I think that's one of the things that you walk away with is that his comics had an underpinning of reality to them. You felt like even if it was a Batman story or a Daredevil story or The Question, that whatever he was writing, you felt like there was that possibility that it could happen in real life. He wasn't a writer for the fantastic. It wasn't a mistake that a lot of the characters that he wrote for were the non superpowered variety of hero.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was doing a little bit of reading today just to kind of bone up on his history. I mean, a lot of it I had known, but one of the interesting things was I really didn't know how he had gotten into writing comics, and it was kind of a funny like twist of fate. Roy Thomas had sort of suggested that he fill out the Marvel tryout pages, which was basically like a 4-page story of
the writing test,
and it had no captions in the or no dialogue in the word balloons, and he said he kind of did it as a joke. And then Roy, when the sort of decision was made that Stan wasn't going to, write everything, Roy wanted a writer, and he saw Denny's work, and then that's kind of where he got to start, and then he went to DC obviously and all that. But yeah, kind of funny that he just fell into it almost. And they're both being like a legendary creator.
they're both Missourians.
Oh, that's right, St. Louis.
Yep. Roy was from, I want to say, Jackson, Missouri. Denny was from St. Louis. He and I hope that I have this correctly. If not the same time, and there may have been an overlap there, went to the same high school as Steve Gerber.
Oh.
So okay, Christian brothers, also the same high school as St. Louis Cardinals announcer Mike Shannon.
Well, look at that! Look at a little trivia.
Yeah. So it's CBC, as they call it down in St. Louis. But I do know that Denny and Gerber went to the same high school. I don't know if it was the same time or if Denny was a senior when Gerber was a freshman, but they went to the same high school. And so they're all Missourians. And I think that was kind of the connection with Roy Thomas and Denny O'Neil is that there was that St. Louis connection there.
Well, Roy seems like a kind of guy that would keep tabs on anyone comic, because was Denny a comic book reader?
I think so, but not like Thomas.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, that's one of those, it kind of goes back to the seduction of the innocent. It's like, all of the juvenile delinquents had comic books rolled up in their back pocket, but but then again, every kid had comics rolled up in their back pocket. So yeah, I think, Denny O'Neil, he was born in 1939, and he always said that he always knew how old Batman was because he and Batman were born in the same year. And so he grew up in the 40s and 50s, and part of that whole like 10-cent plague era. Sure. But that was probably my favorite interview I've ever done, and that was during Around Comics. I don't know if we're going to call it version 1.0 or what, but that had to be back in around 2010. It's got to be about 10 years ago. I think Denny O'Neil was kind enough to come on and do an interview for us whenever we were doing some charity work for Hero Initiative. And we had a series of interviews with veteran creators. Roy Thomas was one of those. And
I pull that up probably and maybe activate it, because I don't think it's on the feed.
Yeah, it was a great interview, and I say that not because of me asking the questions, but Denny was just about the easiest person in the world that you could talk to. He's a huge fan of Greg Rucka, so we had that in common. He actually was pretty instrumental, and Greg will say this, that he was pretty instrumental in getting Greg to write at DC. Denny was the group editor. That's back when DC had group editors. So there was the Batman office. So you may
Right.
have had different editors on certain titles, but at that time, Denny was the group editor for all of the Batman titles, and that was a well earned spot for him, because he had written and edited most of them up into that point anyway. And so I think he was part of a push to recruit Greg to write for Detective, which was what Greg kind of came in writing Detective at DC, I think.
Yeah, it's actually two parts. So there's episode 155 and then 157 with Denny O'Neill. We have, so I'm going to pull those out, and this week I'll put them back on the feed so we can
That'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool. I'll be honest, I don't remember those. Like, I don't remember.
Oh, good, but he's a great guy to listen to. Like, you'll get to listen to the younger version of me with like hair, on my head.
I would promote another of our fellow podcasters, but I know John is having Greg on tonight, actually, to talk.
Oh, nice.
About Denny. So
that'll be a great listen.
Yeah,
it was one of my all-time favorite interviews, and one of the moments I'll never forget is we were talking about, there's a few characters that Denny O'Neil is known for working on. Batman, obviously number one. He wrote so many Batman stories, or was the editor on so many Batman titles. But a lot of his work with Neil Adams on Green Arrow, Green Lantern.
My favorite. I think that's, some of my favorite. Well, most remarkable for me. Yeah.
Groundbreaking at the time.
And present. If you, it's funny, I actually pulled it up on Hoopla today to go back, because I haven't read those stories in forever, and I was like, I'm gonna take a look at them again. And the first issue could be written today, unfortunately. Considering what's going on, it's like nothing's changed in 40 years. There's a panel. Let me pull it up here. Just
for 1970s comic books. That was and that's the thing about Denny O'Neil, is that he was very upfront that he was very liberal. He was very much he would, I don't know if he called himself a hippie writer, but he was very socially aware and progressive, especially in the 70s for a comic book writer. And that series probably is recognized as the first comic book series that was out and out political for a superhero comic.
And like I said, the first issue, especially to me, is it's something that up until that point, I don't know that we had seen in comics, where the writer is basically challenging the notion of a hero, and this hero being Green Lantern, and he uses the phrase from Green Lantern's famous speech that he says every time he charges his ring, the part of "no evil shall escape my sight." He sort of challenges Hal Jordan with that, in looking at what evil lurks around every corner that you're not seeing because you're too busy fighting intergalactic beings. You're not helping, or you're not looking for the evil that faces Black Americans at that time in the 70s. And
well, it was the first time that they really portrayed Hal as a cop.
Yeah, absolutely. He is that he's the systemic sort of, he's the man in this. And in that first, couple of pages, it's like he stops a fight on the streets, and then we realize he's maybe stopping the wrong guy, and he's helping the wrong guy. And the part that I reading it today that got me was, so he's flying, and he's flying in Green Arrow's neighborhood, and he sees a guy beating up another guy, kind of, and he goes and stops it, and then like everybody in the neighborhood starts throwing rocks and cans at him and stuff, and he's like, why are these people acting like animals?
Yeah.
And that phrase was like, that's so,
a little 2020, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's just like unbelievable how you could read that today and just be like, this was written today. This was
an asshole.
Yeah.
and the neighborhood was fed up with this slumlord, I think is what it was. And,
he was a slumlord, and he was going to sell the building and kick all these people out on the streets. And it was very interesting, that Hal is the sort of Republican, and it makes sense. Hal is that 50s ideal. He is that white, square-jawed, astronaut. He is the right stuff. He is the test pilot. He is, what's Chuck Yeager? I mean, that's what I always thought. Kind of what Hal was built on was Chuck Yeager and that 50s ideal American.
And that was his view of the world. And that's not to say that that's bad. He had a very clear, definition of law and order and good and evil, and the way that his ideal of what the world should be. And now you have this character in Green Arrow who had been up until that point a really vanilla, know nothing kind of
playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne light.
He was for DC. He was kind of the cheap, even more vanilla version of Bruce Wayne. And Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams changed him into this, kind of progressive liberal superhero. He was fighting for the people that didn't have a voice. And that's what made that's what made that comic amazing. Was in the 1970s, they have a comic where you have people of 180-degree different political ideologies, and they threw them together and made them work together. I mean, the Road Trip Across America storyline is one of the great comic book storylines ever. And you've got pulled up kind of probably the most famous page out of that initial issue, where it's the black man who confronts Hal and says, you've been fighting for the purple people and the
blue skins, and I want to plant it someplace. You helped out the orange skins, but you've never. How about the black skins? I want to know how come. Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern. And he can't. And it's fate. It's sort of being faced with that reality. Hal's being faced, and like you said, he represents a lot more than just a superhero in this comic, obviously, and America. How come we're not looking at this? How come we're not? And it's sad that 40 years later we're still dealing with kind of the same issues. And
you wish that you could read those comics and go, wow, that's what that was like. That's crazy.
You definitely don't have that now. So it's kind of crazy, but I mean, it just shows how far ahead of their time. And he also, in the same run, he introduces John Stewart, Black Green Lantern, and
he talked about, I think in the interview that we had on, that he went to kind of what DC's higher ups at the time, and they're like, okay, well, we want to introduce another Green Lantern. And he's like, well, like 2/3 of the planet is covered in not white, Anglo-Saxon Protestant, Europeans. So I think it's time for a Black Green Lantern, is what he was saying.
Yeah.
And and they're like, what? And so he was John Stewart exists because Denny O'Neill's like, no, it's time to have a Black Green Lantern.
I think it's funny, or not funny, but it's interesting if you kind of look at that run, and like you said, the trip across America, and how it was supposed to sort of be, they were going to,
it was Easy Rider in comics.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what it was. That's what it was inspired by, was Easy Rider.
Oh, that makes complete sense. But it's like, we're gonna not use our powers. This is gonna be like just us being human beings. And they even got I can't think of the Guardian, but one of the Guardians, comes back and comes to Earth and like dresses in a suit and doesn't changes the skin color, and then
it's ridiculous
driving around. But it lasts like an issue,
Yeah.
And then they're like fighting some sort of like super powered, cult member, hippie cultist, which I have to think is a Charles Manson sort of
Oh, absolutely.
analog.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
there was like one issue in there where it wasn't like super powered bad guys that they were fighting, and yeah, they went across the country and everything. But I'm assuming that DC editorial got involved maybe and kind of we're like, okay, guys, we can't have them not use their powers in every episode, in every issue. Like that's not gonna work.
It's like people are buying this to see the ring and see Green Arrow make trick shots.
Can I just say, I don't think I still love that Green Lantern, Green Arrow logo design with the sort of flaming green energy pulsing behind it, and yeah, that's such a cool design, and I love that. But yeah, that's some of my favorite stuff, that he did. Obviously, his Batman work, but for whatever reason, the Green Arrow. I mean, I've always been a Green Lantern fan, a Hal Jordan fan, and that stuff was before my time, so I didn't experience it as it came out, but I certainly remember reading it, pretty young and getting those back issues and
that's the thing is that Denny O'Neil and we talked about this in the X-Men Comics 101 on the Roy Thomas and Neil Adams. It's like when we started reading comics, those guys were kind of already the veterans. So it would be like, it's like if you started reading comics today, they would have been like the Jason Aarons and Bendis of like the last decade, right? So they were already the superstars, and we wanted to read the new stuff. We were it was Byrne and Claremont, and it's Romita Jr. and that kind of stuff. The newer guys. But one of the things when I talked to him, the other character that he's probably most well known for is the Question, which is not his invention.
He brought
it's a Steve Ditko character.
He brought a bunch of characters back, but yeah, the Question was certainly one of them.
And so he brings the Question back, and I was kind of expecting a really vanilla answer on this, and it was I phrased it. It's like what was it like to work on a Steve Ditko character, and it was this kind of powerful moment of truth where he's like at the time you didn't weigh the historical significance of working on some of these characters. It was a job, and I saw the Question as a character that I could write stories for, and he Denny O'Neil wrote what he knew, and that was mostly crime stories. He wrote great crime stories. That's why he was so good on Detective Comics. The Question, from Steve Ditko's perspective, was even more political than any of the stuff that they had done on Green Arrow, Green Lantern. I mean, this is, all you have to do is it's what, Mr. A, right?
Yeah.
That's the Question is the precursor to Mr. A. The Question was Steve Ditko's very Randian, black and white, right and wrong character, and
definitely not liberal though.
no, not liberal. He was very, very Randian. And Denny said that he may not have taken that into account, and if that was an offense to Steve Ditko, that was a great regret that he had, is that if his take on the Question was not what Steve Ditko had wanted, then that was something that he regretted. And for him to have that kind of sense of self and awareness that him working on someone else's creation in a way that they may not have wholly endorsed, he was conscious of that and hoped that wasn't the case, but he also knew that what he did with the Question is not what Steve Ditko would have done with the Question. So, hey, Tom.
Well, I mean, hey, there he is. What's up, Tom?
Oh, everything's great.
We were discussing Denny O'Neil and his passing this week and his work, and we talked a little bit about Green Arrow and Green Lantern, obviously, and the question. What anything you want to contribute to that? Do you have any favorite Denny O'Neil books?
Yeah, he did some cool Justice League issues post Gardner Fox, pre Steve Englehart. He kind of got in there and did some Justice League stuff that was kind of interesting. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if he's the one that wrote the story where Snapper Carr helps the Joker break into the sanctuary. Let me look that up. But yeah, I mean, as far as influence that like an individual person could have, obviously, like he has had an outsized influence on comics and through comics on just like all culture, all popular culture, so it's hard to
like everybody thinks that like Batman got dark when Frank Miller wrote The Dark Knight Returns. It's like no, he was dark. I mean, Denny O'Neil definitely was the guy who kind of turned it from Ra's al Ghul.
Denny O'Neil created Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. He really changed him from the 60s Batman, the TV show kind of Batman, which is interesting. We talked about, because we read the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker stories that are more of the fun, sort of Joker, and then he kind of brought him back to more of a homicidal maniac, just going on killing sprees.
Yeah, he mentioned that that whenever he came into writing Batman, it was very much based on the TV show. It was aimed at 10-year-olds, and they made that decision to take. Batman was a character that walked in the light and would go to parades and be given the key to the city, and that was their conscious decision to take him from a character that walked in the night or walked in the light to a character that walked in the night. And they put him back in the alleyways and basically it's, turned out the lights, and Batman stories took place at night after he took over. And it was back to being more what he liked to write, which was hard-boiled crime stories.
Tom froze.
Well,
and then Tom's back.
I thought he was just looking very stoic.
I don't know. We got two Tom.
I thought he was listening very intently.
No, I'm just like staring directly.
I was wondering. I'm like, why? What's going on here?
No, frozen. And then
I will say that not every decision that he made or comic that he wrote looked back on incredibly favorably. He is also the writer that depowered Wonder Woman, put her in the white jumpsuit, and
hey, you know what?
You gotta mix it up, baby. You gotta mix it up.
Yeah.
I understand, like, in this day and age, people like criticize it because it was not a feminist sort of thing or whatever, but they're also kind of fun stories. And it was like, hey, just something different. They were trying to, do
Diana Prince, secret agent.
Yeah. I like some of those secret agent stories.
Yeah. But that was Denny O'Neil.
Yeah. He, there's going to be tons of talk about him, I'm sure, and everybody's going to be writing stuff and talking about him, and he had a gigantic influence of things. But I mean, it's sad whenever someone like him passes, but at the same time, it's like
it's a life well lived, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think for what he did, you can't make a much bigger mark. Mm-hmm. Like, what more can you ask out of a life?
St. Louis represent.
Oh, I forgot to mention, we got new neighbors, and the wife is a big Cardinals fan.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm wearing my Sox hat tonight.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I told her, I'm like, hey, I don't have anything against the Cardinals. I'm a White Sox fan, so they can beat the Cubs every time. I don't care.
We're all going to be in the same division now.
Is that what it's going to be? Just one division?
It's the Central. The Central.
Really?
So yeah, the Sox and Cubs will be in the same division.
Is that what they're doing?
Yep.
Is just for this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the Sox and the Cardinals will be in the same division,
Fun.
and the Brewers.
Oh Jesus!
It's going to be great, and the Royals.
Sorry,
and
we're going to kick all your asses,
Twins
here, guys.
and Reds, and it's going to be crazy. The Twins.
Well, that'll make me watch some baseball.
Yeah, it's going to be banana pants. They're only going to play 12 games though. So
12 games.
they're
softball season.
There's a lot of arguing about.
There is a lot of arguing.
A lot of negotiating.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they don't want to pay them.
Yeah, that pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like we got empty stadiums, guys. I don't know how you.
They want to have baseball, but they also don't want to pay the players.
Yeah.
So if there's some way we can do, have a baseball game but not pay you.
I thought you guys loved the game. I thought it was for the love of the game of baseball, guys.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Assholes.
Listen, it's time to be heroes, all right? Put aside your fears of possibly contracting an illness.
America needs you.
America needs you to play in empty stadiums.
I'm going to close on the Denny O'Neil stuff.
We've been renamed around baseball.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, we can talk baseball. If you have a chance, and I don't know if it's in print or not, but the question Zen and Violence is a great Denny O'Neil question collection with fantastic Dennis Cohen art. So that's a good one.
And he wrote the Muhammad Ali versus Superman.
That is very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he write that?
He did.
Yeah.
We've been talking about these Treasury edition size things.
Yeah, that was one of the original Treasuries.
That one and this one were some of the original Treasury comics. The Batman.
Now that's you got the hardcover there, right?
This is the hardcover of the Superman Ali, which is awesome. It is so good. You buy a lot of the stuff for the Neil Adams art, but Denny wrote great stories. It's a ridiculous story, but it's awesome.
I read it just for the art. Don't read any of the words. I read it out of order.
It is interesting. Like going back, like I said, today I had a couple of hours and I was reading some comics and reading some Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and it's like, God damn, Neil Adams could draw his ass off. Mm-hmm. But the one thing which I never really thought about, or I never really recognized it before, was how much like John Byrne I saw in that stuff. Like, wow, I didn't realize Byrne was, because he would have been after Neil, right? Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like he must have been him, because not so much the line, but like panel layouts and energy of some of the stuff. There's a lot of Neil Adams and John Byrne stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That was kind of the next evolutionary step. And then the thing is that Byrne, I think, he was so much more prolific than Adams. Adams had runs, but if you look at the volume of work, it's like Neil Adams and John Byrne. John Byrne just did so much more.
Right.
There was a point where I think that Neil was probably making a while in his advertising company, and he had his studio going. So but Byrne just did a lot more.
He did. He definitely did.
Mm-hmm. So,
I know he did some Marvel stuff. I know he did a couple of issues of, he did Amazing Spider-Man for about a year when he worked for Marvel.
Denny O'Neil?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did Daredevil.
Yeah. But he did a couple of issues of, with Frank Miller.
Mm-hmm. Was he on the Frank Miller Spider-Man stuff?
Annuals. He did a couple of annuals with Frank Miller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like really early Frank Miller stuff. Have you ever read the Frank Miller Amazing Spider-Man stuff? They collected it a few years ago.
I have. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unpolished Frank. He's not quite,
He's not reached full Frank.
He has
not full Frank. No.
He hasn't gone full Frank yet.
No, it's like whenever we were reading the X-Men stuff earlier this month when they had Barry Smith doing stuff, and I'm just like Barry Smith. And have you seen like early Barry Smith versus like Weapon X?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, those guys are still finding their style. Like they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just reading what do you call it? Not Dark Knight Returns. God damn it.
Year One?
No, yeah, Year One.
Yeah.
I was going through this, and there's like
AJ, your Orioles had a terrible fucking draft, by the way. Sorry.
There's pages of like from Mazzucchelli that you are way closer to Neil Adams than they are Mazzucchelli.
Yeah.
Like he hadn't found that style yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see it with you pretty much. I mean, there's very few artists that are like hatched into, existence.
I don't think there's any, honestly. I think they hide it better than some, but I don't think any of them. I mean, everybody's influenced somewhere, and they have to. I mean, I don't think there's an artist out there that doesn't come from somewhere and copy someone else, and that's how they learn and then develop their own style. So they all, have their influences. And
I love looking at like early like Sienkiewicz Moon Knight stuff.
Yeah, it's not the. I mean, he evolved.
It's like house style.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's neat. It's cool.
He's just trying to get that paycheck, guys. He's got to get that issue in.
What it was.
He's got to get that.
When was the last time you read Cosmic Odyssey?
Oh, not that long ago, actually. I think.
Yeah, I have found that Tom has it in his bedside.
Yeah.
Never. I don't know. Maybe never.
Huh?
I don't know if I've ever read it.
Really? It's Mignola.
I'm trying to think of what it is.
It's Mignola. It's like really early Mignola at DC.
What character?
It's what it's Fourth World and like Justice League.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, I've read. Okay. Yeah. Oh,
I mean, it's obvious. Yeah, I mean, it's Mignola, but then again, it's not really Mignola.
No. Well, his stuff does not translate into superhero stories very well. Like his style doesn't work great for superhero stories, I don't think. I mean, he can do it because now he's Mignola, but it's not like what he developed for Hellboy is so Hellboy. It was funny. I was listening to an interview with him and he was talking about it like, you can't really draw Hellboy without drawing like Mike Mignola. It doesn't work.
When Norton was doing the Hellboy and BPRD stuff, it's like, this Mike is channeling Mignola.
Yeah, you can't, and people will talk about it like you can't do it. It doesn't work because that character is whole. It's him. You know what I mean? Like it's completely him. It's his style, and it's like it won't even look right because it's so much him. So yeah, I think even when he does other characters, they're just. Well, that's just Mike Mignola. That's not Batman. That's a Mike Mignola Batman.
Which was Gotham
by Gaslight? Yeah.
I think I got that. Got that over there. Another guy that's just,
I like his dark side.
His dark side's awesome.
It's thick.
Yes.
That's a thick
dark side, like dark side should be done. It's just
very blocky, very
craggly, and
well, he draws everything like a statue anyway, so it works perfectly for Dark Side,
Yeah, exactly. Dark Side could be a Hellboy villain, Yeah. Another just kind of like oddball looking like history of comic stuff. Whenever you read like the Alan Moore writes the DC heroes, and it's Kevin O'Neill doing like Green Lantern stories. Those are a little odd looking.
Well, Kevin O'Neill's style is, I love Kevin O'Neill.
Yeah.
but it's so distinct. I mean, yeah.
That's why you
But I'll
gotta have
tell you
him draw the weird Green Lanterns.
Yeah, I like that. Well, Mignola, there's some Mignola Green Lanterns out there that are really odd, like kind of Abe Sapien looking, Green Lanterns, and yeah, I like that kind of weird. Well, I love like martial law with Kevin O'Neill. Like his superheroes in that are just so bizarre and odd looking. I love them though. Like I love that.
Shouldn't have been reading martial law. You were too young.
Oh, for sure. But that is one of my favorite all-time books ever. Like
you talk about Mignola doing like when you draw Superman in that book, it's kind of like, huh? Yeah, I guess that's Superman.
you feel Julie Schwartz being like,
yeah, I guess doesn't quite work, but
Kurt Swan is rolling in his grave.
Kurt Swan would have been okay with it. Schwartz would have been like trying to find Kurt Swan to redraw the heads.
Yeah, redraw those heads. You cannot have a Kirby Superman face.
I'm still upset. If we ever talk to Chris Staros from Top Shelf again, I'm still upset with him that I don't think they ever put out the martial law. Weren't they supposed to do a martial law hardcover?
Yeah,
collected edition
somewhere in the works.
Yeah, I don't think it ever. I remember like personally emailing him going, "Listen, the second this is available, I want one.
I want available."
Because that is
one copy number one.
Yeah, I think that is a terribly underrated comic.
Oh yeah,
martial law is so good. It's so twisted and
yeah.
And I think influential in a lot of ways too.
Well, that's from that era where where you could be 12 years old and buy some comics that you had absolutely no business reading. You had martial law and you had American flag, and
the guy behind the counter is like barely paying attention.
Oh,
like yeah, sure.
Comics,
Yeah, did your parents ever pay attention to what you were reading? Like, if I was reading something, that was all they cared about. Like, okay, you're reading, good. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
They weren't certainly looking at what I was reading. And yeah, I was reading.
Is that a decapitation?
Is that a comic?
Why is there so many swastikas in this book?
awkward conversation.
Hey, guys, we turned out fine.
Yeah,
totally.
Turned out fine.
No problems at all.
Yeah.
Brought up. Oh, first of all, I wanted to mention Sal started a Facebook group for Around Comics.
I did.
So if you want to go on the old mom book and join in on the conversation.
Wow, really?
Hey, it's the only social media I use right now. So it's like that, like Slack. But anyway, so the Facebook group is up and running, and there's conversations going on there. Great topic starters for us to chew on. If you have questions for us, you can post them there, and I'm sure you can just go onto Facebook and search for Around Comics, right?
Yeah, it's facebook.com/groups. Well, here let's just put it up there. There it is.
Yeah.
Groups/Around Comics. That's the new group. Yeah, I just did it because I was like, well, Facebook keeps bugging me to do it, so maybe people would want to
just do it.
Just fucking do it. We need more.
Do it, dude.
We need more ad revenue. Boost those posts.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's great to get some conversation starters going on stuff. I threw up one this week that I wanted to get your all's input on. So I think we all have comfort food comics. Whenever you're just like, not reading much of anything, and you just want to go to bed, but you got about 20-30 minutes, so you just want to curl up with a comic, and you don't want to be. It's not that you don't want to be challenged. You just want to read something that you really enjoy, and it's a comfort food. It's the mac and cheese of comics. Whenever you just want to grab something and curl up and spend a half hour reading something that you know that you love and you can read it a million times, what is that comic?
I take out a 600-page omnibus. I take out the Kirby Fourth World omnibus and lay it down next to me. I put it between my wife and I. And then flip it open.
I do the same thing kind of as Tom does. I get the DC Comics, the history of DC Comics.
Oh God, the 75-year anniversary.
And I use it as like a knee pillow, and like a body pillow.
I get the omnibus out, and I'm like, how can I read this? This isn't even in a format I can read.
You can see them on top of the bookshelf over there.
Yeah, right.
I've opened them up, both of them, probably once or twice ever. That's the Marvel and the DC 75, the big Taschen books.
Oh yeah,
they're awesome.
Yeah,
but my God, you could kill somebody.
You're not supposed to read them.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, the only book that I constantly or like go back to over the years that I've gone back to over and over again is Watchmen. It's really like I read it probably once a year.
Mm-hmm.
But comfort, something that like I've read. Oh, you know what it'd be Hellboy. Hellboy would be probably what I would just grab a Hellboy trade or pull it up on my iPad and that would be kind of that comforting. I know the story so well. I'm not really reading them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of looking through the art and trying to sort of look at it from another angle or think about the panels a little more, that kind of thing. So that'd probably be it for me.
Okay,
probably Crisis on Infinite Earths. I probably read that the most of anything.
Yeah,
really?
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. You've probably read that a million times.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah.
God, there's so much going on in that book.
Yeah.
There's so much. I don't know if I've actually read the entire thing in one sitting.
No, I don't think I ever have either. Because I just at a certain point you're like, what's going on? I mean, it's a big sprawling, weird mess of a story that isn't the tightest story ever in the history of mankind. Lots of like, it's over. No, it's not. There's this other thing that's happening.
I want to guess yours, Chris.
I'm
gonna guess Alien Legion.
Oh, that definitely falls into that category.
That's got to be in there, right?
Queen and Country.
Yeah. The first 6 issues of Alien Legion. Absolutely, I can pick that up anytime. That's never far away.
At any moment.
Great, because those
Bring
arcs are easy. It's kind of like naming your favorite Beatles song. So it's one of those that it probably changes from week to week, day to day. This is the one that came to mind first. Is that I can go back and read a trade of 100 Bullets because I've read series so many times at this point to jump in and read 100 Bullets is it's kind of like Hellboy. It's almost for the art, for the Rizzo art. But yeah, Queen and Country and Alien Legion, yeah, right there.
We have some listener responses here or viewer responses. A. Johnson says Savage Dragon.
Cool.
Andy Tom says Comfort Food Comics, any Bob Haney Brave and Bold puts me to sleep in minutes.
That is funny.
You're just not down with the groovy teens dealing with
Did
problems.
Bob Haney have his own world out of?
Yeah, it was Earth B.
Earth B was because he basically had no rules. It was just
Wildcat would just show up and it'd be like, wait, why is Wildcat here? Like he's on Earth too. So finally, what? What's happening? Yeah, don't think about it too hard. It's Earth B. It's whatever.
And Bob's just Haney's just I wanted Wildcat in the story.
I want Wildcat in there. So I guess we're gonna get Wildcat.
Speaking of Wildcat, are you guys watching Stargirl?
I have
not yet.
I have watched 3 episodes, I think. 3 or 4.
Are you to the Wildcat episode?
Yes, I did watch the Wildcat.
Tom, you will like it. It is just chock full of all of the JSA legacy stuff that you will enjoy, but also with the requisite CW teenage angst.
Okay.
But at least it makes more sense in this. She's actually a teenager.
Yeah.
Instead of a man in his 30s.
She's not a 35-year-old billionaire industrialist with a super suit who then has teenage angst.
Yeah, she's a teenager. She probably should have.
Yeah.
Teenage
Are you
angst.
saying Oliver needed to grow up a little bit?
You know, I got a little tired of the constant battle between him and his girlfriend every fucking episode.
Yeah, which one?
You know, hey, sorry, he's out doing exactly what you fell in love with him in the first place. Come on, writers. Can we come up with a little something else other than the same fucking thing about a girlfriend who falls in love with a superhero and then can't stand the fact that he's a superhero?
Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry, CW writers. I'm just,
Yeah.
The CW writers just trying to.
No, just watch.
They got
watch
23 episodes
tomorrow,
right. That's a lot of episodes when you're like,
it was too many for me, for sure.
I ran out of steam towards the end.
Tomorrow is my guilty pleasure because it really is terrible, but I love watching it. But I'll be going through like Netflix and I'm just like, wow, 26 episodes, 22 episodes, however many it was. It's like, that's a long season.
Yeah, you gotta get a lot of boyfriend girlfriend fights from that.
I'm down with the British 8 episodes of 8 hours. That's plenty of story.
I will disagree with you because I want What We Do in the Shadows to have like 50 episode seasons.
That's different. That's a sitcom that can go on forever. Yeah, I'll watch that every day.
Did you watch the season finale?
Of course. It's so
Guillermo del Cruz. It's like, yeah.
I don't know if they're just covering for me or they don't really know my name.
Yeah.
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I have not watched the TV show yet. I am familiar with the movie.
The TV show,
I've heard it's good.
The funniest TV show on. It is so brilliant and so clever. It is. Sal and I off camera have talked about it quite a bit over the last month. It is the best comedy on TV. It is so good.
I'm just trying to finish up Arrow. Slowly, just to work my way through it.
Okay. Well, whenever you're caught up, we'll talk about it.
It's going to take me like another couple years.
Yeah. Al and I were ready to scrap this and start the What We Do in the Shadows podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? We could do that. We could do a supplemental.
We do call it what we do in the earbuds.
Back to Stargirl though.
Mm-hmm.
What have you thought of Stargirl so far? Should we wait till Tom?
Yeah, you can. I won't remember this conversation.
It's exactly what we said. It's steeped in legacy. I mean, you read Stars and Stripe, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to Tom.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
So you read Stars and Stripe. It's Stars and Stripe, and she's putting together a new version of the JSA to fight the Injustice League.
All right, sold.
Yeah,
I'm sold on
and it's good.
I need time now. Now I just need. If I could time travel, I'd use it to just watch things that I don't have time. I'd like constantly go back an hour.
Not try and help humanity in any way.
I'd get to it.
Eventually.
I got forever. Yeah. I mean, what's the rush?
You got to take some time for yourself, Sal.
Yeah.
I understand.
Once I have the time machine, I have as much time as I want. So let me knock out a few TV shows first.
Ease into it. You got to ease into time travel, You don't want any big, killing
rushing around. Yeah.
Killing baby Hitler right off the bat. You can't just.
You don't want that to be the first thing. That's classic mistake.
No, you want to go back and watch those 1990s Flash episodes.
I just want to point out that I've so far referenced Charles Manson, swastikas, and baby Hitler already in this episode. The analytics on this is going to be phenomenal. I can't imagine what YouTube.
It's a whole new listening audience.
Oh god!
I was told there were swastikas.
I was told.
Actually, I've got swastikas right behind me.
Well, that's not something you want to ever.
Hey, check it out.
I'm going to use that as a drop. I'm just going to have
No,
that.
it's relevant. This is it's my 100 bullets page.
Ah, there you go.
That you should burn that.
Yeah, I know that sounded horrible, didn't it?
Oh, I got some right behind me.
Yeah,
I got swastikas right here. You want a swastika?
they're not being nice to the Nazi in the page, but
That page would be illegal in Germany, sir.
that page is awesome because it's Loop telling that Nazi to go stick it. It's awesome.
Stick it.
Actually, he says something along the lines of garbage being in front of his cell. So, but yeah, good stuff. So swastikas, where were we?
At a Stargirl.
Yeah, I like Stargirl. It's I really like Luke Wilson in that. He makes a really good Stripesy. It's the so Stripe the robot. There's a little bit of suspension of disbelief that he like constructed this gigantic, awesome robot. Out
of junk parts.
Out of junk parts. I love that they were playing the Johnny Cash one piece at a time. Or one part at a time.
Pretty good. The soundtrack is pretty good to it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I mean, I think it's very good. It's a little. I feel a little guilty watching it because it is a teenager show, but there's so much like golden age goodness that Jeff Johns is, shoving into it that it's like, well, how do I not? I mean, I love the JSA. I love all that era of stuff, and there's just enough of it in there. I don't know how I'm going to handle like the whole young group of new JSA, like a new Dr. Midnight and I don't know how
but
I'm
most
react
of
to
the
that
characters, a lot of those are like Infinity Inc. characters. It's like Yolanda, the new Wildcat. She was around in the 80s, dude.
Yeah.
That character, if it's drink now, it's that old.
But with Yolanda, with her, with the new Wildcat, like the idea of, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but like she puts on the mask, the Wildcat mask, and then she like has this costume appears, and she has like abilities. She's enhanced, abilities and claws and stuff, and it's like it makes complete sense because, to be honest, like Wildcat's just an old boxer. Like he wouldn't survive, in the JSA. Like he would have been.
There needs to be a little Black Panther in there as well, right?
Yeah, it's a little Black Panther and that kind of thing. I get it, but it's like, there's part of me that is also like, I mean, but they did like they're doing a really good job of balancing it because she is a boxer. Like she comes from a boxing family, and she's Mexican, and she's so like they're. I think they're doing a really good job of it, of trying to sort of like make it new and fresh and young, but hold on to some of the the stuff that old fogies like me will like.
Oh, I like this.
Where's Ted Grant?
Where's Mr. Bones? I'm really disappointed that the fucking lantern's broken. That's sad to me. I'm assuming they're not going to have a Green Lantern. Because
no, they're going to have a Green Lantern.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
Oh well, good.
She's putting the whole team together. They're going to have a Dr. Midnight and Green Lantern, and there's obviously going to be it's going to be. I mean, they've already said Jakeem Thunder, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's her stepbrother's friend. It said, "Yeah, my friend Jakeem's coming over tomorrow." I was like, "Jakeem, Jakeem Thunder."
You had the pink pen,
Yes.
Well, there you go.
It's don't touch the Thunderbolt.
Yeah. She's like, click.
I love that they already have like the impish laugh. Of the pen. The pen is just screwing with her.
The one thing I like I said, the only thing with the show that I haven't loved was what's his name as Starman. I I thought he was too clownish.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, whatever. It's a nitpick. I mean, it's really nitpick. But that
Yeah,
was
he was the guy from like Community or whatever his
yeah,
name.
Joel something.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm looking it up. You've got me very intrigued now.
you'll recognize him. Rory. Hi.
Joel McHale.
Huh? He's Starman?
He's Starman.
Yeah. And not her father, what she keeps saying is her father.
Lou Ferrigno Jr.?
Could be her father.
It's not her father.
It's not in the comics, but
He's playing Sylvester.
Who is her father in the comics?
he was a loser.
Joel McHale is Sylvester Pemberton. Oh, okay. Well, that kind of makes sense.
Her dad's going to be
he's that-
Icicle. You know that, right?
What was that?
Her dad's going to be Icicle or something like that.
Maybe, yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Lou Ferrigno Jr. is in this.
Yeah.
Who does he play?
Rex Tyler, our man.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Who knew? So yeah, it's good. It's a nice inclusion, and it's I mean, obviously Jeff Johns is all over this thing. Oh, James Robinson is writing like most of the episodes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes complete sense. You know.
Yeah, and it's James Dale Robinson.
Ooh, Dale.
Oh.
Yeah, so James Dale Robinson. But yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, it's Robinson's written. I think almost every episode. Well, I've watched 3 of them, so two of the 3 or something. But yeah,
I don't give a shit what he does. He's always going to be drunken karaoke James Robinson to me.
That was a night. That was a fun episode. Go find that one in the archives.
Yeah, it's down there. I need to get them all up eventually. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, get that. I very rarely listen to episodes because I hate the sound of my own voice. But the Denny O'Neil one, I may have to go back and check that one out.
Yeah, I'll put those up this week for sure.
Okay.
There's 2 of them.
That was good stuff.
Where the hell was that at?
Huh?
Where was that at?
What do you mean? Where was it?
Where did you record those?
My bedroom.
Oh, that didn't sound creepy at all.
It's actually in my office, and then Tom came over and did the Roy Thomas one.
Ah, okay.
Which was fun. That was right around the same time. It was, I don't know if you remember, Tom. We did that. It was for a Hero Initiative drive that we were doing, and we did interviews with Denny and Roy Thomas. And
I remember.
Oh,
Gene Coleman, maybe.
Days.
Yeah, we had all sorts of folks on. It was great.
We talked to all of them. Nothing more to say.
Now we talk to no one but ourselves.
Yeah.
No, when's Tom King coming on for his Comics 101?
I don't know. I hit him up and he said, "Yeah, let me just figure out schedule." And
Who are you? He was like,
"Wait, he's all in."
Yeah, and speaking of that, and kind of coming back to the Facebook page, I'm looking for suggestions for my next Comics 101.
I think I know what I'm going to do. Oh, hey, you know
what?
A
run of comics, 8 to 10 issues. So
pick something, do what I do, and something you already know a tremendous amount about, and so you don't need to do anything.
Well, we kind of did like the Denny O'Neil history here a little bit, almost.
A little bit.
Does this count as one?
Is it? Who's counting? I mean,
is it? Throw to play the drop, and it counts.
Oh shit! I gotta play the.
It's time for Comics 101.
It's edutainment.
Already happened.
Edit that in, Sal.
Now it's official.
It's official. We can count this as a Comics 101 Denny O'Neil.
Yeah.
That was a pretty brief history of Denny O'Neil, but
yeah, it's
the deserves more, I think.
Denny O'Neil history. No, I'm still thinking Rory, calm down. Dog's freaking out.
I was going to ask you, did you get any comments on the comfort food comics? from people on the Facebook.
Oh yeah, let me.
Can we legally say that?
The what?
Can we legally say what they? Well, we don't tell anybody's names, right? We can just. Well, they didn't technically say that. If you're in a Facebook group, I don't know if we can just like post their comments, but
Sorry, the legal ramifications.
Go and guard the perimeter. So some of our we got 17 comments. So good friend of ours, Mr. Rick Hansen, said that he can always pick up a Hulk story by Bill Mantlo, Peter David, or Greg Pak. Is his comfort food. Christopher Vu said Kingdom Come or JLA by Morrison Volume 1. Jeffrey Ketchum has one that definitely fits the category for me. He loves Planetary, and he also threw in the Josh Whedon and Cassidy Astonishing X-Men, and Matt Fraction and David Aja's Hawkeye.
He likes a little mirth.
The mirth. A wry smile.
Here's a Denny O'Neil tie-in. Mark Magaha said the Batman Nightfall storyline, which was edited by Denny O'Neil. Jeffrey Ketchum says Brian Wood's DMZ. He said, even though that's swiftly becoming nonfiction.
Oh, come on now.
We got some Ultimate Spider-Man or Morrison's New X-Men from Jordan Thomas. And our buddy Chris Marshall said any 70s Batman. And then Will Pfeiffer. Will the Pfeiffer says Born Again, Wig Wham Bam, and one of my personal favorites, All-Star Superman, which is a great comfort.
That is a good one.
Yep. So those are all. My next question, which I will post after we're done with this episode, and you guys can think it over, is whenever you are wanting to introduce someone to comics, what are some of the first comics that you give or loan to someone? So we can maybe talk about that next week.
None. I never give anyone comics because they don't give them back.
Or what is a suggestion that you give to people to read? Hold it. Don't.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be for next week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's for next.
I didn't realize we were.
It's a teaser, Sal. Come on.
Gotcha. Okay.
The teaser.
I don't understand teasers unless there's a drop. What's
the drop?
Yeah, I don't have a drop for that.
Tell me what the drop is.
I have all sorts of sounds. I can just.
That works. That works.
I could do.
Question of the week.
How about a little old timey piano?
Old timey. This smells like old book.
I kind of like this, just this background, little background.
Let me tell you about comics when I was a kid.
They were by the devil.
They were better, cheaper.
It's the old timey segment of Around Comics. All right. No.
Well, we ran out of stuff to talk about.
I think so.
Yeah. Are we good?
You guys reading anything good?
No. Just bad stuff. I haven't had a chance to read this week. Just the news.
Just the news.
And that's horrible. Well, Sal, how do people contact the show? We'll go ahead and wrap things up here.
What?
We'll wrap things up.
What?
What? You can contact us at our info@aroundcomics.com. You can go to Twitter or Instagram, Facebook.com.
TikTok.
P.O.
We're not on
Box.
TikTok. Although I have been told that we should be on TikTok. You
What's our
can join our new
TikTok
Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/around comics.
Yep.
You
We
can
love
support the show
Mhm.
By going to aroundcomics.com/shop and get yourself a lovely shirt like this gentleman
Look
had.
at that guy.
I'm getting that shirt.
That's sweet, isn't it?
It is. It's awesome.
I like that our model for our shirt's very just like true to comic book.
He looks like he reads.
It's not aspirational. It's not.
That's
like,
our target market.
It's our target market. Settled in.
That guy is not our target market.
Yeah.
That looks like Chris Burnham.
It does look like Burnham a little bit. At least Burnham's back.
Burnham was always too pretty for comics.
Still is. You can get a pink one.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah.
You can get it. Yeah, we have all sorts of good stuff there. You can even get like, let's see. We got
the tour.
aprons. You want an apron? You get a nice smock for yourself.
That's what I need.
Something like that.
Did you show Tom your styling new coffee mug?
I didn't. Here's the.
Oh, nice.
I'm OG, Tom.
Ah.
You can get your baby a bodysuit. Tom, if you want a baby.
Every new parent needs is an Around Comics onesie. All right, so there you go. You can support the show by buying some merch. You can email us, ask us questions, go to the Facebook group. Always looking for new topics to go over. So let us know what comics you're reading. We're also looking for comics to check out, and in these trying times, it's good for us to get some suggestions as well. I'm looking forward to going back to a comic shop soon.
Are you?
I actually am too. Like, hey, I do want to. We need to come up with a contest because, well, we can call this the Sal orders stuff that he already owns contest.
I have some of those to throw in.
Yeah, I have a absolute V for Vendetta.
You double ordered a fucking absolute.
I did.
I need this,
isn't it?
I already have it.
I did. I'm like, that's odd. There's an absolute of it. I didn't even know there was an absolute. I've had it for whatever. I don't know how many years it came.
That's a drunk order.
Did you notice when you went to put it on the shelf and you were like V? Oh shit!
Yeah, something like that. That was basically.
Oh no! I already have one of these.
So yeah, we could come up with maybe something to give it away if we want, like some kind of contest.
Yeah. Well, it's and not to tease too much, but I accidentally ordered an extra copy of I Kill Giants, which goes into my topic that we will talk about next week.
Things you ordered twice.
I've got an extra copy of I Kill Giants. I've got some an extra Baltimore Volume 1 hardcover. That was a repeat drunk purchase.
All right, well, we'll have to figure out some sort of content. Maybe like we'll do it in the Facebook group, so you have to join the Facebook. We'll be sneaky like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Or maybe you have to send us an email, or I don't know.
I've got duplicates, and I also started clearing out my basement, which we talked about ad nauseum. So I have 3 long boxes of stuff I'm trying to get rid of. So,
I'll
take it. No,
okay,
no, I'm kidding.
Send it.
Coming down to you, baby. Some good stuff in there.
Yeah, got some good stuff.
Yeah,
some like Bronze Age X-Men. You got some
a lot of indie comics.
Oh no, I'm good.
There's some good stuff in there, though.
All right, is that it, gentlemen? Is that our...
Yeah. Well, Tom, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back. I think we're kind of settling this Sunday evening live streaming. We may jump in here, there, and everywhere, but we'll be back again next week, and in between time.
In the meantime.
Whoa.
Oh man, I messed that up.
Yeah, you did. 15 years?
I don't know, something like that. Yeah, we'll be everywhere, Ian.
And around,
Around
comics.
And Tom.
Comics.
I'm out of here.
Oh, I can't stand talking to you, asshole. No.
Comics.
Tight. This is a good one. Are you out?